So in today's training, we're going to be diving super deep in how to find uncharted SMMA niches, sub-niches, and services by thinking like a billionaire so you can monopolize your agency and print money like the feds. So, I'm going to be giving you guys the thought process that billionaires use to choose and validate niches. I'm also going to be giving you a list of niches so you can hypothesize your own, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And then you can actually go, do market research the same way that billionaires do, and you can validate it the same way that billionaires do, okay? So we're going to be going through the niche selection and validation workflow. But first, we're going to talk about why, competition is for losers and, why you should choose a blue ocean, but most importantly, how to identify a blue ocean. So really quick, little introduction to this document. I try not to limit myself to the SMMA space when it comes to expanding my knowledge. I found that studying billionaires and applying their principles to my agency gives me an unfair advantage against the competition who only watches SMMA gurus. In today's document, I'm going to be showing you exactly how billionaires go about choosing and validating niches/services and how you can do the same to monopolize an uncharted niche, also known as a blue ocean market, or even create a new service that will better resonate with your current niche. So most people don't have a sales or appointment booking problem. They have a product market fit problem, okay? So they think that their sales are bad or their cold email scripts are bad, but the truth is they're just selling something that a lot of other people are selling or that the market doesn't urgently need, okay? So competition is for losers. Insanity is rare among individuals, but common practice among groups. Most humans imitate, monkeys see, monkey do. Now, imitation can be a good thing, like when a child is learning how to speak, but it also leads to the insanity of crowds and thinking that going into thousands of dollars of unforgivable debt is somehow a responsible thing to do. So this group insanity is what creates market bubbles, like the dot-com crash, like the 2008 housing market crash. These were all created by people following what the masses were doing, even though it was insane. So speaking of the dot-com crash, Peter Thiel, the co-founder of PayPal and one of the first investors in Facebook, so he's a billionaire, claims that competition is for losers. So what this means is that, only a small percentage of the population is actually diagnosed as insane. But if the group, the mass, the majority of people are doing something that is actually insane, it's not considered insane because everyone is doing it. And this is how bubbles are created, right? Like the dot-com crash, everyone thought they could start an internet company, and everyone thought, they would add .com to their domain and it would instantly go up millions of dollars in valuation, which if you're thinking objectively, this is insane. But since everyone in Silicon Valley was doing it, it wasn't considered insane. And that created a bubble, right? When the masses start doing things that are actually insane and it becomes normal, this is how bubbles are created, right? Same with the 2008 housing market. If you guys have seen the movie The Big Short, the investors or, the equity traders, they go to the strip club and they're talking to the stripper and they ask her how much money she makes, and she only makes, I think it was like $40,000 a year. They say, how many loans do you have right now? How many houses are you buying? And she said, I own 6 homes, I have 6 loans. And then, that's when they realized that, that the market was about to crash because it was insanity. Normally taking out 6 loans, if you only make, the average income, that would be considered insanity. But since everyone was doing it and the housing market kept going up and up and up, it wasn't considered insanity because, people were just imitating the masses. So imitating can be good if you're a child and, you need to learn these crucial things like how to speak, how to walk. You do that by imitating and, copying the people around you. But how billionaires think about markets is they think, what do I believe that the majority of people don't, right? And that's a question that Peter Thiel would ask all his employees. So you need to put on this lens and you need to look at the market from a third perspective. Like you're sitting up in the top of a building looking down at the market. Because most people look at the markets collectively and they look at what everyone else is doing instead of looking at these markets objectively. And this is where, this is how monopolies are created by billionaires who think about the market objectively, not collectively, and they realize that what the majority of people are doing are actually insane. So how this equates to the SMMA world is that everyone just chooses these niches that everyone else chooses. And because of that, these markets become saturated, and the only reason that people go into these niches is because everyone else is choosing them. But what if, choosing these niches is actually insane and they're not even that good of niches? And what if the best niches no one is choosing because everyone else is just doing what everyone else is doing? And an example of this, another way that I can, articulate it is that, so I'm a surfer, and you'll notice if you ever go to a beach, everyone's kind of surfing in the same spot. And the reason this sometimes happens is because the first person who paddled out in the morning, they just chose this one random spot. And then the next person who comes, he paddles out straight out there. The next person who comes, he sees two people in this one spot, he paddles out there. But what if a little bit to the right, the waves were actually better? No one's going to go there because the three people already paddled out to this one spot. And then everyone starts paddling out to that spot just because they're thinking collectively. If everyone is in this one spot, that must be where the best waves are. But really, a couple 100 feet to the right, no one's out there, and that's where the best waves are. But no one thinks to go there because everyone else is over here. So that's another way to think about it. You can be the billionaire who comes in. You're like, hey, the waves are actually better over there, but no one's over there. What if I go over there? And this is how you can choose a niche and monopolize it, okay? And I'll give you some case studies of someone I know who actually did this later in the training. But trust me, guys, this is how you want to view the market. You want to view it objectively and not collectively. So monopolies are created by being early to a market or a trend. You don't have to be the first and create something completely new. You just have to be early. When choosing an SMMA niche, you want to choose a niche that is small and the competitive landscape is bare. The biggest mistake you can make when starting your agency is going after a massive market. You'll end up dealing with too much competition in one way or another. So all the big SMMA gurus, they literally suggest that you go into these massive markets where there's already established monopolies and a ton of competition. And the reason people do it is because everyone else is doing it. But the only reason everyone else is doing it is because someone started doing it at one point. It doesn't mean that that person made the smartest choice, but then there's like this network effect and everyone started doing it, and people view things collectively. And they think if everyone tells me to go into a big market, I should go into a big market. But this is the opposite of how billionaires think. And the SMMA market has really, fallen into this trend. And it's a reason why a lot of people fail, or it's a reason why a lot of people don't see as much success as they could. Okay? So you want to go into niches where the competitive landscape is bare. And if you want to build a monopoly agency, start by dominating an extremely small niche and expanding concentrically. Take Facebook, for example. They were early to the trend of social networks, right? So Facebook wasn't the first person to start a social network. They definitely were in, the first 5 or the first 10, but even though they were the first, they still didn't try to target the entire internet. They just started with students at Harvard, right? So they started with students at Harvard and they slowly expanded concentrically. Same with Amazon, right? Amazon just started selling books online. And then they slowly started selling more products. And when they dominated each sub-niche, they expanded and started going into other niches until, they went from selling books. Then they started selling DVDs as well. Then they started selling, cleaning supplies. Then they started selling this, that, technology, until eventually groceries. And then they're just selling everything, right? But they didn't start by selling everything. They started by selling books. And when they dominated that market, they expanded, right? So take even Jeff Bezos, for example. At his time, everyone thought that the only way to buy goods was in person at Walmart, right? And he said, well, it's a lot more efficient if we do this on the internet. And he was considered insane back then. Like if for you to buy something online, that was considered insane, right? But he realized what the market was doing, what everyone was doing collectively, which was buying goods in person, it would actually be a lot more efficient if they did it online. And that's where he viewed the market objectively, and he came in and he created a solution to that problem, and he created a monopoly, right? But he didn't start by selling everything online, because Walmart was selling pretty much everything at that time in person. But instead of copying what Walmart did and doing it online and selling everything, he started with books and he collected cash flow, and it was a lot easier to dominate a market when it's just books. Like Facebook, it was a lot easier to grow when all they were targeting were Harvard students, right? Because their messaging will resonate with that exact small niche, and it's a lot easier if there's no one else trying to get Harvard students onto their social network, but there is other social network companies who are trying to get the entire internet. Right, so they had to, Facebook just started by targeting these small little groups, and because it was a lot easier to target these small groups, there's no competition for the Harvard students, so they were able to get everyone in Harvard on their social network. And then once they did that, they had some, they didn't have cash flow, but they had experience. They were able to make their product better. They were able to make Facebook better, and then they expanded into these bigger markets, and they did the same thing until eventually, it was like knocking over a small domino, and the dominoes get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it knocks, and the small one creates this wave that knocks all the dominoes over. Okay. So an example of this in SMMA would be, instead of targeting the entire home improvement niche, target only one of the following sub-niches: garage door repair business, tile business, air duct cleaning business, cabinet building business, etc. So on top of that, only target one of these businesses in a specific state or country or even city. Then after dominating one of those small markets, you can slowly expand into the others. So if you choose the home improvement niche, which I think is really good, a really good niche right now, because those statistically, these businesses do well during recessions, and you can actually research that, and there's a lot of data backing up that claim. But you wouldn't want to just target the entire home improvement niche. You would want to start with a sub niche. So maybe you go for the garage door repair business, and you only target that sub niche with your agency, because the garage door repair business, there's not a lot of competition in that small niche. And all you do is you focus on getting your first 5 to 10 customers in that small niche. And then once you get cash flow and once you get case studies, it was a lot easier to get that cash flow and case studies because there was very little competition with just garage door repair businesses. And now that you have cash flow and you have case studies, you can expand to tile businesses where there might be a little bit more competition, but now you have cash flow and you have case studies to help combat that competition, right? So getting your first 100 clients requires getting to 10 first, and it's going to be much easier to get 10 clients in an SMMA niche with zero competition. So a lot of people, they're like, well, they're thinking about getting 100 clients before they have 10. They're like, well, I need to target a big niche so I can get 100 clients and scale. But they're talking about scaling when they have, 0 or maybe 1 or 2 clients. Whereas if you just focus on getting your 10 clients first, then you get cash flow, then you get case studies, then, you've had 10 clients and you can refine and iterate your service, and it will be better. So it can stand out against the competition. So what you want to do is no matter what niche you're in or no matter what niche you choose, you want to start very small where there's not a lot of competition, and you can make your messaging for this small group of people and it will stand out a lot more, right? And this isn't the best example, but say you're in the real estate niche, which is a terrible niche if you're thinking like a billionaire, but there's 3 million agents, right? So if you just make your offer at real estate agents, like we help real estate agents book 5 to 10 appointments a month, well, imagine if your messaging is, we help luxury seller real estate agents in the Canadian markets with 5 to 10 years of experience. See, that resonates a lot better. So if you're messaging a small amount of people, it stands out a lot more instead of trying to message everybody. So there's a lot of advantages of just, starting in a small niche, focusing on getting your first 5 to 10 clients. And then once you've exhausted that niche and it becomes harder to get clients, you can go to the next niche that is a little bigger, and bigger niches have more competition, but then now you have case studies and you have cash flow and your service is a lot better. So you can stand out against that competition, and then you can take over that next small niche, and then you can just keep scaling up until you have a monopoly in the entire home improvement business, where all your competitors, they were trying to target the whole entire market at one time, and because of that, they failed. But what you did is you thought objectively, and you started at the bottom, like Facebook and Amazon and PayPal. Like PayPal didn't start by trying to work with the entire internet at first. They started by only targeting people who were using eBay. And once they dominated that market, they started scaling up. Like if you pay attention to all these, monopolies, they didn't start by targeting everyone. They started with these small niches. Like, this is how billionaires think. And you want to think this way when it comes to running your agency, because no one else is thinking this way. They're doing what all the gurus are saying, even if it's insane, because it doesn't seem insane because everyone's doing it. Okay? So instead of trying to become the next big chiropractor or e-commerce agency and competing with existing monopolies in saturated markets, why don't you try and become a monopoly in an untapped niche like carnival blowups or turf managements, right? So these are just totally random niches. Like no one's going for these niches because like they're not being pushed by SMMA gurus, which is those are the niches that everyone's going for. Like these niches, they could be better than chiropractor niches. They could be better than e-commerce niches, which is what everyone's going for, but everyone's thinking collectively and not objectively, so they can't find these little golden niches. And by the way, I don't know if carnival blowups or turf managements are a good niche. I just tried to think of two very random niches that I don't know anyone in. So you still have to validate these niches once you come up with a hypothesis niche, but I'm going to show you guys how to do that in this training, okay? So, and there's this quote from Peter Thiel I really like. It kind of goes on this point. Don't always go through the tiny little door that everyone's trying to rush through. Maybe go around the corner and go through the vast gate that nobody's taking, okay? So again, guys, think objectively, not collectively. So here's a case study of someone who thought objectively, and this is Tony Lee. I'm sure you guys know him. So instead of choosing the real estate or med spa niche like everyone else, Tony looked for a small SMMA market with little to no competition. He ended up coming across the car detailing niche, and because there was little to no competition, he was able to scale from $0 to $17,000 per month as a complete beginner in just 90 days. The craziest part is that he was putting in the exact same input as other agencies in more competitive markets, and he was getting 100 times more the output. This is the power of following Peter Thiel's advice and starting in a small market where the competition is bare. So instead of going into the real estate niche and the med spa niche like everyone who was thinking collectively was doing, Tony said, well, what market is there little to no competition in? And he ended up finding the car detailing niche. And because there is little to no competition, he wasn't the first person in the car detailing niche. You know, there's still probably a good amount of agencies, but there's significantly less compared to these other niches. And because of that, he put in the same input as other people in more competitive niches were doing, and he got 100 times more output because it's easier to scale in these super small niches because, you know, these people aren't being bombarded with the same offers, 5 to 10 times a day. So you can literally you can cold email a car detailing prospect and it'll be the first time that they ever heard of Facebook ads. And because of that, they're very interested in getting on a call with you. And therefore, you send the same amount of cold emails and you book a lot more meetings. Now, this niche is very saturated now because, Tony and Joel Kaplan and Agency Lab, they all started talking about it. So now it's a lot bigger. But you want to find your own car detailing niche, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do in this training, right? So, and a lot of you are thinking, well, what happens when you exhaust the car detailing niche? Well, even if Tony exhausted the car detailing niche, he could slowly expand into other automobile-related niches. And as he scales up into bigger markets, he has more cash flow and case studies than other businesses who are just getting started in these bigger markets. This allows him to beat the new competition and slowly take over the entire automobile agency space niche by niche. Another benefit of being in a small niche is that it's extremely easy to find market message resonance. This allows you to write outreach messages and ad copy that makes the hair on your prospect's arm stand up as if you were reaching out exactly to them. Okay? So even if a lot of people are starting with niche 4 and it's just this massive market where there's a lot of competition, and because of that, it's harder to get cash flow and it's harder to collect case studies. Whereas if you start with niche 1, so say this is just the car detailing niche, it's a very small market, but because of that, it's easier to get case studies and it's easier to get cash flow. And then once we've gotten 5 to 10 clients in niche 1 and we've kind of exhausted it a little, then we can go to niche 2, which might be car shops, right? It might be car repair shops, which is a bigger niche, and there's slightly more competition than car detailing, but because we already have cash flow and we already have case studies, we can outbid the competition and we can show more social proof than the competition, so that makes it a lot easier to get clients in this bigger niche. And then once we conquer this niche, we scale up to this niche. This might be luxury car part shops, right? And even though that's a much bigger market and there's more competition than niche 1 and 2. Since we've used niche 1 and 2 and the low competition in these niches to get case studies and cash flow, we're able to compete in this niche because we have more case studies and more cash flow than everyone who's competing in this niche. So we can come in and we can take it over, right? Because we can outspend the competition. We have more social proof than the competition. And then the fourth niche, we would take over another big, car, automobile related niche. And then eventually we have a monopoly on the entire automobile agency space. But we just started with car detailers, right? And so we're doing what Amazon and what PayPal and what Facebook did by following the advice of billionaires, okay? So solving for the agency equation. I learned from Nick Kosman, founder of Growth Consulting IO, to view starting an agency from this equation. So Nick Kosman, he's this absolute genius in, the online business space. He started studying engineers and physics, and he takes a lot of those principles and he brings them into business. So I really like learning from this guy. You guys should definitely check him out. So the agency is a function of the following variables: N, T, P, M, D. So that solves for agency. So where N is niche, so the niche is a specific group of people who have a specific problem in a specific circumstances. And remember, the smaller this is, the better. But you don't want to just go about choosing any small niche just because it's small, and that's where, the validation process comes in, okay? So once you choose a niche, then we need a transformation. So that's solving for T. And the transformation is the promise made to the niche, okay? And then P is the price. So the price is what the niche is willing to pay to have the promise fulfilled or transformation realized. And then the mechanism, which is M, is the mechanism used to deliver the promise or fulfill the transformation. And then finally, we have D, which is the distribution channel. And the distribution channel is, the channel used to get the mechanism in the hands of the niche. So it's how we sell it's how we sell our service. So a distribution channel, for example, could be cold email, it could be LinkedIn DMs, it could be Instagram DMs, it could be Facebook DMs, it could be Facebook ads. These are all distribution channels where we can distribute our service, okay? And all these variables are dependent on each other. So your niche is going to depend on the transformation that you create, and the price is going to depend on what your transformation is. And same with the mechanism, it's going to depend on what the niche can afford, and the distribution channel is going to depend on the niche, because if our niche isn't on LinkedIn, we don't want to use LinkedIn, right? So all these variables are dependent on each other, and this is a really good way of looking at your business like a math equation, and right? So once we've, come up, I'm going to show you guys how to, pick a niche. I'm going to show you guys a list of niches, and I'm going to show you how to hypothesize one and validate it, and then create a solution to that niche's biggest pain point. So you can create your own monopoly, right, by thinking objectively. So before building an agency in a new niche, which is N, we need to validate it first. And when we find a validated niche, we want to make sure our mechanism, which is solving for M, is solving the niche's most urgent problem. We want to look at niche and mechanism validation through the lens of a scientist. We want to come up with a hypothesis and test it using the scientific method. So go through the list of niches below and find one that you want to hypothesize. So I've included this list of niches that I got from Carson Fox. A lot of them are these low-key niches, just so you don't have to go and brainstorm these all by yourself. You can come in here and you can look at this niche, and a lot of these niches are super low-key. Some of them aren't, but what you want to do is you want to look for one of these that really stands out to you, and you want to, you just want to hypothesize a niche. Like, which one of these niches do you think you could potentially build a monopoly in, where the competition landscape is bare, right? And as you're going through this list of niches, and this will be included in the document in the description, but as you're going through that list, just remember these are some of the characteristics of a good niche, okay? So we want a hyper-specific niche who has an unsolved problem. So if you guys when Alex Hormozi first started, the reason he turned Gym Launch into a monopoly is because there's an unsolved problem. No one was using Facebook ads for gyms when Alex Hormozi came to the niche. And he realized this. He realized they had an unsolved problem of client attraction using paid advertising. And because he solved that problem, and he was one of the first people to solve that problem, he created a monopoly, right? So, and this problem needs to be extremely painful with a big payout. So we want to solve a problem that's extremely painful and urgent because, people buy in pain. That's the reason they buy services that are priced at over $1,000 because they want to get out of that pain. So we want to create a solution to that pain, and the more painful the problem is, the more likely someone is to buy our solution to get out of that pain. And then we want solving this problem to make them a lot of money, because the more value we create, the more value we get to charge, right? The more value we create, the more value we get to keep. So either nobody has solved the problem or very few people have solved the problem, so just low competition, right? Like we want to go into a niche where, for example, Tony, not many people we're running Facebook ads for these car detailing businesses, right? So there's people in the market who haven't even heard of Facebook ads being used in their business. And because of this, Tony was able to get more output for his input, right? So he could send the same amount of cold emails as someone else who was in a market where the people were very aware of this problem and a lot of people have solved it. So they're getting messages all day of the solution to this problem. But if we solve a problem that not many people have solved, when we take it to market and we start sending cold emails, we're going to book a lot more appointments because the prospects haven't even heard of the solution, or not a lot of people are presenting them with different solutions, right? Where the real estate niche, like my clients, they're being presented with a solution to their problems like 5 to 10 times a day. And because of that, they become exhausted and they don't want to get on a call with anyone. And it becomes much harder for everyone to book meetings because these agents are being hit with the same claims and the same solutions every day, right? So like billionaires would not start an agency in the real estate niche, right? Because it's a collective thinking, because everyone goes into the real estate niche, right? Like I went into the real estate niche when I first got started, and if I knew all this stuff in here, I would not have gone into the real estate niche, okay? And we want to solve a problem that brings the customer an ROI in 30 days. Okay, so we want our problem should make the customer's money back in 30 days. So like real estate, for example, it does not get them an ROI in 30 days. They could literally be working with a buyer for 4 to 5 months, driving around the city looking at homes before they get paid for the price that it costs to acquire that customer, right? And because of this, the retention can be low because we're not making our prospects a lot of money quickly. But if you make your customers a return on investment in 30 days, they're likely to stay after that first month, and retention wise, the first month is most important, right? So ideally, there needs to be a problem in this niche where you can get them an ROI in 30 days by solving a problem that is very painful and makes them a lot of money, and that problem isn't, being solved by many people, and there's low competition, okay? So, and then last, you want to make sure that the leads are easy to scrape and target. So obviously we want to have a small niche, but we don't want them to be a needle in a haystack. Like if it's too hard to find them in Sales Navigator, then it's not a good thing, because we want to be able to scrape these people's emails easily, right? So we want to be able to easily find them and then target when we start running ads and, outbound campaigns. We want to make sure they're easy to find. So go through this list of niches and, remembering these traits, just come up with a hypothesis on one of those niches that you think could be good, thinking, and don't think collectively, think objectively. Think, where is everyone avoiding because they think that it's a bad niche, but the only reason they're not going into it is because no one is telling them to go into it, right? So you want to be Jeff Bezos and be the first person to sell goods online, right? You want to be the same person in the agency space. If you can be the first person to find a niche that no one else is selling in, you can create a monopoly in that niche. And the only reason people aren't selling in it is because they're thinking collectively and going to all the niches that everyone else is doing. But the only reason that everyone else is going to those niches is because, one guru told them they should, right? So you really want to look at it through that lens. And here's a tip. If you can sell to a niche that you've been involved in or a problem that you've had to solve yourself, that's a big plus because you understand the market. And whoever understands the market the most wins, right? So I'm an agency owner, and I had to solve the problem of getting clients in a competitive niche like real estate, right? So I was in this niche and I was able to close 6 clients in 6 months because I found ways to compete and acquire clients in a competitive market. So if I really wanted to, sell a problem that I've already solved, I could go to other agency owners in a competitive market and install the, the sales process and the outbound process that I was able to create for myself. And since I already understand the market, I really know what they want and how how to communicate with them because I am one, right? So if you yourself is an electrician, or you've been an electrician, you might want to check out that niche because you already understand the market, and whoever understands the market the most wins, okay? So once you've hypothesized a niche in this list that has all of these traits and something that very little competition, you want to start defining the niche by income levels, competitive landscapes, core values and beliefs, job titles. So job titles like realtor, real estate agent, those are both different job titles. So you want to see if there's multiple job titles in your niche, okay? And then verticals. Is the niche selling business to business, or is the niche selling business to customer? Years of experience. This is very important, right? Like real estate agents, 87% of them fail in the first 5 years. So when I'm defining my niche, I only want to work with agents who have, 5 years or more of experience. And then location. Remember, the smaller market we start in, the better, because our messaging is going to stand out to that specific market. So, you only want to start by targeting, like real estate agents in the US markets or the Canadian markets. You don't want to just start with US and Canadian, because then you have twice the amount of competition and your message doesn't stand out as much, okay? So once you've figured out like all these variables of the niche that you want to hypothesize, you need to see if it still seems worth it, right? So you want to make, like, after you've looked up the answers to all these, like for example, if you choose a niche and then you look into it and there's a lot of competition and a lot of people already doing it, and I mean like a lot, then you want to go back to the list and you want to look for another one to hypothesize. But if it really, like, if it still seems like a good idea after looking all the basic, after defining all the basic variables, then we're going to move on to these more advanced questions, okay? So these questions, like whoever understands the market most wins. Like when I work with agencies with growth consulting, what I do for them is I have them fill out this foundational copywriting worksheet, and I have them literally ask their current clients these questions, or go interview people in the niche they want to go to, because whoever understands the market most, they win. They can create the best sales assets. They know exactly what to say in their messaging because they understand the market inside and out. So I have a set of questions here, and I'll kind of run you guys through these questions. So the first one is, what keeps them awake at night? Eyes open, staring at the ceiling, right? So this is going to answer their most urgent problems, okay? What are they afraid of, okay? What are they angry about? Who are they angry at? What are their top 3 daily frustrations? This is going to give you more problems that you can find a solution to. What trends are occurring and will occur in their business or lives, right? If we can capitalize on trends, we can sell a product a lot easier. So what do they secretly, ardently desire the most, right? And this is gonna solve a big equation for us. Is there a built-in bias to the way they make decisions? Example, engineers are exceptionally analytical. Do they have their own tribal language? So like you want to understand the things that they like agency owners, we talk about appointments, sales, B2B, conversion rates, booking rate. This is our tribal language. Real estate agents, they talk about GCI, gross commission income. Zillow, Trulia, they have their own tribal language. Seller lead, buyer lead. So you want to learn the niche's tribal language. Who else is selling something similar to them, and how? Okay, and then who else has tried selling them something similar, and how has the effort failed? Right, so who has already came to them trying to sell them something, and if they have sold it, did it fail or did it succeed? And this is where you can really understand how many people are actually reaching out to them per day, okay? So you might be able to answer all these questions using a third-party resource, but you don't want to rely on it. So even though you could probably Google all these questions, the market is always changing, and this information might be false. So what we want to do is actually reach out to a prospect, okay? So start reaching out to this new niche through cold calls, cold email, LinkedIn, cold DMs, and start asking them these questions, right? So depending on the niche, you might be able to get these answers for free, but if needed, offer a Starbucks or Amazon gift card. So the first method is cold calling. So you have this list of questions written down, or you copy and paste this document, you put it on a separate document, you have these questions ready, you start cold calling people in this niche. And when you're cold calling them, you need to define them exactly by these answers, right? So you need to define them by their job titles, by their years of experience, and location. location. So you can literally search for people using Sales Navigator, based on their years of experience, because this is part of our niche, right? And based on their location. And you can look for people in here and you can find their phone number, or you can just Google people in the niche. But this is a lot better to really find, the years of experience, because we're trying to niche down as much as possible. And we want to know the answers to these questions based exactly in the location that we're targeting and the years of experience that we're targeting. And these answers are going to change based on those two variables. So we want to be able to find the niche as detailed as possible with this. And then what you do is you call them to say, hey, very quick, I'm doing a research project on your market. Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions really quick? We're trying to come up with a solution to help you and people in your market, really quickly. I have about 10 questions to ask. Shouldn't take more than 10 minutes. And a lot of people will say yes, right? A lot of people will genuinely help you with that. You can even say it's for a school project, you're a college student. You can say whatever you want, right? You just need to get the answers to these questions from the real people, from the people in your niche, okay? And then you can do cold email. So you can create these questions on a Google form and you can blast it out to a bunch of people in your niche, and you can say, hey, we're conducting a research study on your market. Do you mind filling out this quick survey? And then, like I mentioned, like if it's a really sophisticated niche, these people aren't going to spend their time for free. So you need to offer them a Starbucks or Amazon gift card in exchange for completing the questions over the phone or over email or however you contact them, right? And when you do this, like guys, a lot of people will be afraid to spend this money. These answers are worth thousands of dollars, because whoever understands the market most wins. And we're going to come back and sell these people, right? And keep that in mind. So don't be afraid to, pay some cash to get these answers, because this is market research. This is extremely valuable, okay? And what you can also do is you can go to LinkedIn, and when you apply all the filters in Sales Navigator, you can go to connections. You can put it on second connections, and this is everyone who's connected with someone who's connected with you. So then you can go to your mutual connections. You can say, hey, can you introduce me to this person? I just want to ask them a couple questions about their market. And then since you're being introduced by a mutual connection, they're much more likely to, get on a call with you. So you can get these questions answered, over email or over Google form, but you're normally going to get the best answers on a mini discovery call. So just try to get them on a call, and you tell them look, I promise you I'm not going to sell you anything. I'm just doing some market research, okay? And a lot of people literally close their first client by doing this, and I'll explain why in a second. So after you get these, and the purpose of this research is to get a deeper understanding of the niche and find the market's most urgent problems, so we can validate the mechanism before building it. So remember, our variables is the mechanism, is the vehicle that delivers the transformation. So after finding the most urgent problem the market is facing, create a hypothesis around your transformation, your mechanism, and the price it will cost to deliver it. So guys, your niche, while you're asking them these market research questions, you're going to notice that they have a lot of problems, right? Every niche has a lot of problems, but not all these problems are created equal. Some of them are going to be more urgent than the others, right? So this is your prospects, your customers' current state, and this is their desired state. And on the pathway to this state, they're going to run into a bunch of problems, and you want to rank these problems by urgency. So maybe you see this problem, you're like, this is their most urgent problem, so it's right in their, it's the first problem that they're going to face, and you want to rank these problems by urgency. So you want to list out all your problems. You want to ask, right, guys, we're going through these questions with multiple people. You want to get this answered by at least 3 to 5 people, and you're doing market research, and those answers, you want to list out all their problems, and then you want to rank them by urgency, right? So you want to put them in a list of how urgent they are, and then you want to solve either the first urgent problem or the second urgent problem. Or if you can, you can solve all of these problems, but you don't want, the idea is to make your mechanism, to actually create it as soon as possible. And the more problems you solve, the longer it's going to take to create this mechanism. So you only want to solve the most urgent problems. So for example, this first problem might be acquiring customers. That's their most urgent problem, where the last one is, posting on social media or running SEO. It's not that urgent. Yes, they probably should be doing it, but it's not urgent. If their house is burning down, they're gonna, you want it to be as urgent as their house burning down, and they're going to put the fire out, right? So you want to solve the first most urgent problem or the second most urgent problem. problem or both of these problems, okay? So you want to, once you've found the most urgent problem, you want to create your hypothesis around, you basically want to start coming up with a solution for their most urgent problems, so their most urgent problem or problems. So then we need to create a hypothesis around the transformation, the mechanism, and the price, okay? So I'm going to run you guys through a little deeper into, transformation, mechanism, and price. So transformation is state 1, state 2, and the time it takes to get from state 1 and state 2. So imagine a man is stranded on an island. So this island is island 1 with no food, water, or shelter. And 5 miles away, there's another island. So this is island 2 with shelter, food, clean water, and his family waiting to welcome him back. The man's desire is to get to island 2. So his most urgent problem is getting to this second island. The man doesn't care how he gets to island 2 as long as he gets there safely. Now let's say we offer him a boat to get there. Do you think he cares how many seats the boat has or what wood the boat is made from or if the boat has a cup holder? No, the man only cares if the boat can get him successfully from island 1 to island 2, right? So that's all your prospects care about is if you can get them the main benefit. They don't care about all these little features. They don't care if there's cup holders. They don't care about the type of leather. They don't care about the type of wood. They just want to get there as efficiently as possible, right? And then all that matters is that they successfully get there. So island 1 is your prospect's current state. And island 2 is your prospect's desired state. And you're building the mechanism that gets them there. So they don't care if it's a boat. They don't care if it's a rocket ship. They don't care if it's a portal that teleports them there. They just want to get there in the most efficient way possible. And they don't care about all the little features. And the amount of time that they get there is also, something that they care about. So transformation examples. We help new agency owners in the local business niche add $10K in monthly recurring revenue in 3 months or less. Another one, we help luxury realtors in U.S. markets close an additional 2 to 3 listings per month in 90 days or less. We help B2B SaaS companies build sales teams in 60 days or less, right? These are all transformation examples. And then the mechanism is the vehicle that delivers the transformation, okay? So that might be, YouTube ads, Facebook ads, and the mechanism needs to be efficient so we can charge more than it costs us to deliver, right? It needs to be a profitable mechanism so we can sell it and, keep some of the value that we create. So the mechanism will be built as a SaaS, a network, a service, or a people, or an info product. So here, I'll give you an example. Like my service is, if you guys watch my service delivery video, our transformation is that we help realtors in U.S. markets get 5 to 10 live transfers every month or their money back, right? So that's our transformation, and the mechanism we use to do it, it involves go high level, so it involves a SaaS or a software, and then we run ads for them, right? So we have a media buyer, that's service or people, running Facebook ads, right? So the reason it says people is that's if you're leveraging virtual assistants or if you're leveraging a media buyer, but it's really the same as a service, like if you're running Facebook ads, right? Or it might include an info product, but just so all mine includes is a SaaS, service/people, which is the Facebook ads that we run, and then an info product. We give them a course on how to close the leads that we generate them, right? So your mechanism can either be one of these, it can be some of these combined, but some of the best mechanisms are all of these combined. Okay, like for example, you have a software that helps the transformation be delivered. You have a network, which is just like a community, maybe a Discord server for all your clients to communicate on. And then a service/people, maybe you give them virtual assistants, or maybe you have a media buyer that's running ads for them. And then an info product, like it doesn't matter if you send your clients the best leads, if they don't have the education or the sales process to close those leads, you need to give that to them. And that can be given through an info product. So at first, your mechanism will probably only be 1 or 2 of these, but then it can evolve into multiple of them, okay? And something to keep in mind is like when you can go into a big niche and you can make a new mechanism that solves, problems that aren't being solved. So for example, I know someone who went into the e-com niche. Everyone's mechanism was Facebook ads. Everyone was just running Facebook ads for the e-com companies. And what he did is he created a network mechanism. So what he did is he went to these e-com companies. He said, hey, I'll build you a Discord group for all your customers to be on, right? And he's making $30K a month. And all he's doing is he's selling a network. He's building a network for e-commerce companies. So like, right guys, just off the top of my head, just by using these, these 4 different components of a mechanism, I could go to course creators and I could build them a Discord group and give them moderators, which that's also leveraging people, right? I could give them a virtual assistant to monitor that Discord server that we create for them, right? That's a mechanism right there. So you really can, brainstorm a lot. But the idea is that you're going into a niche with no competition. So if you try to YouTube how to run Facebook ads for this niche, it's not going to come up. And that's a good thing, because it means no one has solved the issue and you have to solve it yourself. And a lot of you will be scared to do that. You'll be like, oh, I can't YouTube ads. I can't Google how to fulfill the service. Oh no, that's a good thing. That means no one solved the issue and you have an opportunity to come in and create a monopoly, right? So you don't want to be scared of that. It's a good thing. And I'm going to show you guys how to find the solution, okay? So the fastest way to build, and remember, we're using all these different components or we're just using one of them. But our mechanism is going to involve one or multiple of these, okay? So if you use Go High Level in your mechanism, it's using this component, a SaaS or software, okay? So the fastest way to build a new solution is to look for people who have solved a similar problem in an adjacent field and copy their strategy and apply it to your situation. So example, Alex Hormozi was one of the first people to start running Facebook ads for gyms, and as a result, he turned Gym Launch into a monopoly. The way he created this solution was by learning how other businesses ran Facebook ads and applied it to gyms. So when he came into the gym industry, he realized no one has solved the problem for running Facebook ads for gyms. So if you guys can find a niche that no one has solved how to run Facebook ads for, you can come in and you can create a monopoly. All you do is, what Alex Hormozi did is he hired a consultant who was running ads for other businesses that were similar to gyms, and he applied the same process to gyms, and it ended up working. So boom, he was the first person to solve that solution. So when he took it to market, everyone just instantly wanted to buy it because there's this new mechanism, right? So don't be scared. Like, guys, if you YouTube how to solve a problem in your niche and it doesn't come up, that's a really good thing. It means you can be the first person to find that solution. And the easiest way to find that solution to their most urgent pain points. So like gym owners, Alex realized that the gym owner's most urgent solution was getting new gym members. And he solved that problem with a new mechanism, which is Facebook ads. So say, for example, you look at one of these niches and you can't figure out how to run ads or how to get clients for them. Like say you can't, and I don't know if this has already been solved, but say you can't figure out how to run Facebook ads for electricians. What you would do is you would go to similar industries as electricians and you'd see if people have figured out how to run Facebook ads in those niches, and then you would try the same process in your niche, and you might have to make a couple of iterations, right? But you can come up with this hypothesis on how it works, okay? And you can even use other platforms like YouTube ads, like TikTok ads, okay? And while building your mechanism, pay attention to new technologies and trends that you can leverage. So if artificial intelligence is trending, find a way to use it in your solution and it will automatically be easier to sell. So whatever's trending at the time that you're building your mechanism, you want to put that into your mechanism, right? You want to put this trending technology in your mechanism because it's going to be easier to sell. That's why when TikTok ads first started trending, everyone was trying to solve how to run them in these different niches so they could be the first person to offer a solution with that new mechanism to solve the niche's most urgent pain point. So everyone was trying to sell Facebook ads to solve the niche's most urgent problem. The smart people said, hey, I'm going to build a new solution, a new mechanism that solves this problem, except using TikTok ads because it's trending. So then when they found out how to run TikTok ads in that niche and they started selling, it was a lot easier to sell because they were selling something, one, that not a lot of other people have solved, but two, it was trending at the time. So try to include trending technologies in your mechanism if you can. So, and guys, just to be clear, you don't want to build your mechanism. So I'm going to walk you guys through this workflow. You only want to hypothesize your solution, but you don't want to build it yet. So you just want to come up with an idea of, hey, this is how I would solve this problem, but you don't want to build it until you try to sell it. And I'll get more on this later. But once you do start building your mechanism, it should take you about 2 weeks to a month to build the first version of your mechanism, right? And just 2 weeks of extreme focus building this one solution, no more than a month. And your goal is to start testing it with the market so you can begin to make iterations. So the first version of your mechanism doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, this is a scientific method. So what we want to do is we want to go out and we want to try it with one client. We want to see how it goes. And we can see the iterations that we need to make to that mechanism, and then we can improve it, and then it becomes better and better and better, right? But we want to start out with, the first version, which is like the beta product, the beta mechanism. So, and once we've hypothesized our transformation, and you'll be able to find the transformation by looking at all these questions, and you'll really be able to know what the niche desires and what they think about at night. And you'll be able to come up with a transformation. Then you hypothesize a mechanism. So you think, hey, I can get them this transformation that I came up with, maybe using TikTok ads or YouTube ads, plus an inside sales team, plus go high level. You just want to come up with this idea and hypothesize a solution to the transformation that you know the niche desires and what's their most urgent problem, but you don't want to build it yet. And once you've come up with a transformation and a mechanism, that's just a hypothesis. So you're saying, hey, this is how I think I should solve this, and this is, their most urgent issue. This is how I would solve it. Then you need to find the price. And the price equation is P, right? This is the variable for price. And what the price equation is, it's the transformation times certainty with competitors, and then the niche's ability to afford the solution. So the price is going to depend on what the transformation is. So if it's a very big transformation in a short amount of time, that's going to affect the price. And then the certainty. So if we have a lot of case studies or if we have a guarantee, this makes the prospect more certain that the transformation will actually happen. So then we can charge them more, right? That affects the price as well. And then the competitors, whatever the competition is charging, that's going to play a variable in our price. And then finally, the niche's ability to afford the solution. And this is why you want to research your niche's income levels, right? Because even if we give them an amazing solution that solves this crazy transformation with a lot of certainty and it's a better price than all the competitors, if the niche can't afford it, it doesn't matter, right? So we want to make sure that all these things are lined up. And the customer will assign a predicted probability of the desired transformation being completed. This probability will dictate what the prospect is willing to pay. As you collect case studies and improve your mechanism, the prospect's assigned probability will increase. So every prospect, like when we're communicating with them and we're about to close a deal, they have this probability in their head of, hey, I think there's a 80% chance of this, offer actually happening and this transformation actually happening. Because we can go tell all these business owners that we'll add them $10,000 in revenue, but they're not 100% certain in their head. Maybe they are if we have a lot of case studies and a guarantee, but if we don't, they're going to have this probability in their head, kind of like a roulette table. So it's our job to increase the prospect's perceived probability, and we do this with case studies. We do this with a guarantee. We do this by improving our mechanism. So as we get clients and we iterate the mechanism, we make it even better and we solve more problems, which makes the probability of the client's success even higher. And our price is going to depend on this. But obviously, you're not going to know all this right away, right? Because you're just coming up with a hypothesis. So it's recommended that you start your price at 10% of the expected value that the mechanism will create. So say that you estimate that your mechanism will create a prospect $20,000. Well, you can charge them $2,000 because they're not going to say no to a 10x ROI, right? So it's a good place to start your product at 10% of expected value. And you don't want to be selling a service that you can't charge at least $1,000 for. So you want to make someone at least $10,000, right? So you need to find a mechanism that will make someone $10,000. And as you collect case studies and improve your mechanism, you can start increasing by 10% of expected value. So as you collect case study, that increases the prospect's certainty so we can justify raising our price, right? Because they're more certain that the transformation will be completed, so we can charge them more and more. So, and then as you improve your mechanism, because as you have clients, you're always going to be making iterations to your mechanism and making it better. You're going to be adding inside sales teams, you're going to be improving your go high level automations, stuff like that. And that allows you to charge more and more and more. Okay. So if you don't know what to price it, just estimate what you think you're going to make them and charge 10% of that expected value. And then as you start collecting case studies and as you improve your service, you can go up by 10%. So let's say we collect a case study and we make one iteration to our mechanism, we can start taking 20% of expected value. okay? And then we can go up and up and up until we start facing price resistance, and then we either need to stop or we need to collect more case studies and make the service better, okay? So those are just very basic. I kind of went a little, too deep, a little too heavy, but all you guys need to know is that you just need to hypothesize based on these questions. You need to hypothesize a transformation, you need to hypothesize a mechanism, a way to solve that transformation, and then you need to come up with a price. That's just a hypothesis. None of this is set in stone, but you just need to come up with this idea, and then we're not going to build it. This is just a hypothesis. We are not going to build the solution. Now we're going to sell it, okay? And we haven't built it yet, guys. And this is what billionaires do. They sell things before they build it, and they make sure that the market actually wants to buy it, and then they invest time and money building it, right? Because they know the market already wants it. But you hear all these stories of these startups, they invest all this money and time building this product, and then it turns out that the market doesn't want it, or it's a very competitive niche. And a lot of you guys might do that, right? You might spend weeks and weeks and weeks watching Facebook ads tutorials, paying for Go High Level, paying for all these other services, and then it turns out when you actually go to sell that service that you spent time and money building, it's a very competitive landscape, or the market doesn't even want it, and then you wasted all this time and money. So you always want to sell before you build, and this is how billionaires go about conducting business. So after you've hypothesized your transformation, which you solved T, your mechanism, you solved M, and your price, you solved P, and these are all hypotheses. So you've come up with your target niche's dream transformation, you've hypothesized a mechanism to deliver that transformation, and you came up with, an hypothesis for the price that you can charge for that mechanism to be completed, okay? And now it's time to share it with the market. The best way to validate product market fit is by selling the solution. We want to make sure that it has product market fit before we invest time and money into building it. So create a video of the hypothesized solution and send it to people who answered your market research questions. Tell them you found a solution to their most urgent problem and try to get them on a sales call. The goal of this sales call is to collect a payment and promise delivery in 2 weeks to a month. If you're able to collect a payment, then immediately start building a hypothesized mechanism, right? So what we want to do is once we've come up with this hypothesis for the mechanism, the price, and the transformation, we want to create a video that's like a slideshow showing the prospects how we would go about solving their most urgent problem, which we've already hypothesized. And then we want to go back to all the people who answered our market research questions. We want to say, hey, you remember this market research we were doing? We actually ended up finding the solution. You mind if I send it over? And then you send them that video, and then you might have to follow up with them, but you want to get those people on a sales call. And when you get them on a sales call, you want to treat it like a normal sales call, except the only difference is that you basically say, okay, we're going to onboard you in 2 weeks to a month. We just have to finalize some things. But you want to collect payment, so then when you go to build this mechanism, you're already being paid for your time. And this is how billionaires build products and services, which is just a mechanism, right? So what you want to do is you want to try to collect payment before you even actually build your hypothesized solution to their most urgent problem, right? And another thing you can do is, and this is what I would recommend doing, even if you don't go back to the people that you message, is just set up a cold email campaign. Set up a LinkedIn campaign and start pushing out this new offer that you haven't even built yet and see how the market reacts to it. Like if you can book a lot of sales calls, then that's probably a good sign, right? And you can take those sales calls and you can try to collect a payment. But if those campaigns are doing really well and you're booking a lot of appointments by presenting, your hypothesized transformation, the mechanism, and the price, which all together those become the solution to that market's most urgent problem, and you start doing outreach before you even build the mechanism. And this is validating the niche and making sure that there's actually demand for your mechanism before you build it. And once you've either collected payment from the people you did market research for, or you've launched a cold email campaign and it booked a lot of appointments and it had a very high booking rate, congratulations, you have now validated your niche and achieved product market fit. So what this workflow looks like, and I'll run you guys through it with this view, is that, so first we hypothesize our niche. So we go through this list of niches and we look for something that has low competition, that has a problem that hasn't been solved yet, where we can go in and create a monopoly and really niche down and then scale up, right? So we go through this list and we hypothesize a niche. Once we've hypothesized the niche, we conduct market research. And we do this by asking the niche this series of 10 questions. And we do this through cold email, cold calling, just regular outreach, telling them that we're doing a research project. And then based off those questions, then we can see if there's a painful problem, if the niche has the money to afford it, if the problem hasn't been solved, if the competition is low, and if we confirm a hypothesis for the niche, then we can move on. But if there's not a very big painful problem in the niche, or we can't get the answers to the research question, then we want to find a new niche to hypothesize and start the process over. Remember, guys, this is the scientific process. And if scientists just stopped their studies early, or they jumped around all over the place, they would never discover anything. So, we really want to take our time with this, because if you find a low-key niche by, using this objective billionaire thinking style, you can really create a monopoly and scale your agency to ridiculous numbers in literally just 90 days, like Tony did, because he didn't go into these niches where everyone else was, okay? And these solutions, they might be easier to build than you guys think, right? So don't get scared of that, okay? So once we've done niche research, we want to rank all their problems by urgency, and then we want to try to solve one or two or three or all three of their most urgent problems, and then we want to hypothesize a solution for those urgent problems, and then we want to come up with a price and a transformation. And then once we've come up with a hypothesis for the price and transformation, we want to start selling the solution. And our solution is just the transformation, the mechanism, and the price. And we want to do this by calling back the people who we did research with and telling them that we found the solution and trying to collect payment. Or we launch outbound prospecting campaigns on cold email, LinkedIn, or cold DMs, and we see what our booking rate is for the solution that we've only hypothesized and we haven't built yet. And if the campaign does well, or we can collect payment, then the niche has been validated and we can start building the solution. And then, we can really go all in on this niche and try to monopolize it. But if the niche isn't validated, if we can't collect payment and if we can't collect payment, then we'll try to run an outbound campaign with the solution. And if the campaign doesn't do well and we test it a couple of times with different transformations, and then the niche can't be validated, and we don't want to build the solution because there's not demand for it, and then we start over with the process. And you guys want to do this until you can validate the niche, and then you build the solution. And what happens is you monopolize this niche. You do what Tony Lee did. You can scale to 20,000 a month, and literally you could do it in 30 days if you find one of these low-key niches. And once you're a monopoly, then in a small niche, then you use this strategy to go into bigger niches, and then you just take over an entire market, right? So this is how a billionaire would build an agency, guys. This isn't the normal niche selection videos. I really try to think how billionaires think and applying that to my agency, and I really think if you guys do this, you can make a lot of money. So one more thing I want to cover is sub niches and new mechanisms. So let's say, for example, that you already have a case study and you're in a competitive niche. If you have a case study, you technically have already achieved product market fit because you're selling something that the market wants, and you're able to, solve the problem using your mechanism, and you got awarded with a case study. But if you're in this niche and you have a case study, but it's very competitive, what you can do is you can target a sub niche or introduce a new mechanism to radically differentiate yourself. And you can do this by using these same questions and asking your current clients. So you want to send this survey to your current clients to get these answers, and you can see if there's any problems that your current niche has that aren't being solved, and that will allow you to sub niche down. So an example of a sub niche is if you work with chiropractors, well, if you do the market research on chiropractors and you talk to your clients, they're like, well, I really want this specific type of patient, but no other agencies are running ads that get this patient. Boom, you just found a sub niche because you found a problem that hasn't been solved. And this is how you compete in these competitive markets. Or if you work with home improvement, in the home improvement niche, you can only work with companies who do a specific type of job. So if you already have a couple home improvement clients, or you have the one you got the case study from, you send them those 10 questions, you see if there's any unsolved problems that no other agencies are solving for your niche, and then you sub-niche down to solving that one problem. So that might be the home improvement people. They're like, well, you and all these other agencies, we want these type of jobs, but none of these ads are getting them for us. If you can figure out how to run ads that get them that specific type of job, well, if this person in your market wants it, the rest of the market probably wants it as well. And then you can create a sub niche. Or real estate agents, you can only work with real estate agents who are luxury seller agents in the United States. So that's sub niching down. And it's like in e-commerce, which none of you guys should be in the e-commerce niche. If you're watching this video, you can. It's just super competitive. But what you would want to do is you wouldn't just want to target all these e-commerce companies. You'd want to only target, watch companies in a certain state. So you want to sub niche down. If you already have a case study, you've already chosen your niche, you want to sub niche. Or you can build a new mechanism, and I'll tell you about that in a second. So sub-niching lets you achieve market message resonance and stand out from the competition. But like Peter Thiel says, it's best to just avoid competition altogether, okay? So, even if you're already in a competitive market, guys, I don't want to be the guy who's like, you should hop niches, but there's just such a big opportunity in SMMA right now because everyone is going into these massive niches that, that probably aren't even the best niches. People just go into them because they're thinking collectively. And because, all these little low-key niches, like what Tony was able to do with the car detailing niche, before, now it's saturated. But if you guys can find the next car detailing niche, you're going to make a lot of money, okay? This is why I'm trying to teach you guys how to think, okay? So you want to think like Peter Thiel, and you want to find the next car detailing niche, and then you want to monopolize, you want to take over that market and then slowly scale up like Facebook, PayPal, and Amazon, okay? So if everyone in the niche is using the same mechanism, example, Facebook ads, the market will eventually become extremely aware and numb to the solution. At this stage of market sophistication, you want to introduce a new mechanism that the market isn't aware of. So that might be, TikTok ads, YouTube ads, short form content, artificial intelligence. So if everyone in your market is selling Facebook ads and you're already in a niche, you don't want to choose a new niche and try to create a monopoly that way. What you can do is find a new solution or a new mechanism to solve their problems and present that to them, right? Because if everyone in your niche is telling, like for example, say realtors, if everyone is coming to these realtors and saying, hey, I'll run your Facebook ads. Well, if you go to them and you say, hey, we can run TikTok ads and get you the same outcome, or we can do short form content and build you an online brand, or we can use AI to sell you homes, they're going to book a meeting with you over these other people who are saying the same things. And this leads me into the last part of the video, which is the 5 stages of market sophistication by Eugene Schwartz. So I want to walk you guys through this because if you currently are in a niche, you want to be able to, identify which stage of the market your niche is in, so you can play the game accordingly. But like Peter Thiel says, it's best to just have no competition, and that would be stage 1. So Eugene Schwartz, he wrote the book Breakthrough Advertising, and he talks about these 5 stages of market sophistication, and I'm going to walk you guys through them because I think it's very important and kind of related to this video. So when your market is in this stage, which stage 1 is Christopher Columbus, right? So you're just finding something that's brand new, right? So this is what I'm trying to tell you guys to do, is go through this list and be Christopher Columbus and be the first person to take over one of these niches. So in this stage is when your market is in this stage, there's absolutely no competition. You're the only person selling your product. Because of this, you simply stand out just by explaining it. All you have to do is expose your unique claim and people will sell it themselves, right? So this is when you're the first person to solve this problem, and because you're the first person to sell the problem, everyone is lining up with their credit cards to buy from you. So an example of this is when Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone, and as soon as the market was exposed to it, they started lining up to buy it without thinking because it was this new shiny object and they haven't heard of it. So the market wasn't aware of the solution. Stage 2 is called new explorers. So You're no longer the only person making the claim slash offer. The market is slowly becoming aware of your solution. However, the competitive landscape is still bare, so all you have to do is outbid the competition. You can do this by pushing your product's benefit to the limit. If you're second and the direct claim is still working, then copy that successful claim, but enlarge it. Drive it to the absolute limit. As an example of this, if all the competitors are guaranteeing 10 appointments per month, you increase your claim to 20 appointments per month. So even if you're in this like a niche that has, not a lot of competition, but there's still a handful of agencies, a good amount, all you have to do is, and you can still close clients, but all you have to do is, increase your guarantee and increase, drive it to the limit. And you're going to outbid the competition, and you're going to be able to monopolize this niche before everyone else, right? Because when a niche is new, it's really like a race to the top, and whoever gets there the first it's highly likely that will be the person who first came in, because they were able to capture a lot of the value in that market, okay? So this is stage 2, new explorers, a lot of people, and you will eventually be in stage 2, even if you find a market that's in stage 1, right? It will eventually turn into stage 2, and that's when you want to start, increasing your claim. But if you follow Peter Thiel's advice, you're already going to have a case study by the time the majority comes in, okay? So stage 3 is exhausted claims. So the competitors have followed your lead, and now the majority of them have pushed their product's benefits to the limit. It is no longer possible to outbid the competition because the benefits have hit a ceiling. If your market is in this stage when they've heard all the claims and all their extremes, then mere repetition or exaggeration won't work any longer. What the market needs is a new device to make all these claims become fresh and believable, to make them believe them again. In other words, a new mechanism, right? A new way to make the old promise work, a different process, a brand new possibility of success. So this is like the mechanism. I told you guys how to build mechanisms earlier. So if you're in a market where everyone is making the same exact guarantee, you need to make a new mechanism that fulfills that guarantee. So then when you go to them and you say, hey, everyone else is telling you they can do this with Facebook ads, and they're very aware of Facebook ads, but when you come to them and you say, hey, we can do this with YouTube ads or TikTok ads, they've never heard that before. So then they end up getting on a call with you, and your conversion rate is a lot higher than the competition. So the first stage, people just buy from you because you're the only one with the unique mechanism or the unique claim. And then more people start using that claim. So you just increase your claim to, from 10 appointments to 20 appointments. But then everyone starts offering 20 appointments. And then you switch from Facebook ads, which is what everyone's doing, to, YouTube or TikTok ads, which is a new mechanism. Okay, and a new mechanism, remember guys, what makes up a mechanism? It can be a SaaS, it can be a network, it can be a service of people, or it can be an info product. So, if everyone's doing Facebook ads, that's a service / people, so then you can start doing what, the network guy did, which is offering to build networks for people in your niche. And that's an entire new solution that helps them make money, right? So, and then stage 4 is the arms race. So, now the market is full of people offering your new mechanism, and it no longer stands out like it used to. So at this point, everyone's like caught on to you running, YouTube ads, TikTok ads, whatever it is, and now the entire market is starting to do it as well. So at this point, you need to work on improving this new mechanism as much as possible. Make it easier, quicker, sure, allow it to solve more of the problem, overcome old limitations, promise extra benefits. An example of this is when MacBook starts pushing out new features that Windows computer doesn't have. So they're both a computer, they're both really the same mechanism, but if you can make it faster and make it better, then that's how you're going to stay ahead in this stage of the market. And then stage 5 is rebirth, and this is what Peter Thiel talks about is for losers. So the marketplace has been assaulted for years with claims they no longer believe. The market is now labeled as a red ocean and is full of hungry sharks competing for a small bite. In order to compete in this market, you need to be focused on your brand's identity and the customer. Be more personal, add more value, build a better connection, and or speak to them about their desired pains. The emphasis shifts from the promise and the mechanism which accomplishes it to the identification with the prospect himself. You're dealing here with the problem of bringing the prospect into your ad not through desire, but through identification. An example of this is making your company's brand resonate with specific individuals and giving them the best customer experience possible, right? So this is like the energy drink market. Everyone's really selling the same mechanism and the same claim that this is this energy drink and it will give you energy through the mechanism, which is a liquid in a bottle, but they all start having these different brands to resonate with different people. So, Monster might resonate with a little more edgy people. Red Bull might resonate with, sports athletes. And because of this, they're able to, still make money in these red ocean markets. But the Peter Thiel's whole, and guys, you want to identify which stage of the market yours is at. And if you follow Peter Thiel's advice, you want to be the Christopher Columbus to one of these niches. But first, you have to hypothesize and validate a niche, okay? So guys, this is about it for the video. I mean, this is a very unique way of thinking. I don't see many people doing this. I really think there's a big opportunity if you can be the first person to solve a problem in one of these low-key niches. And don't think that I'm saying that you can't make money in these big niches. I'm in literally the biggest niche, 3 million people, real estate agents, and I was able to close 6 clients in, my first 6 months as a complete beginner. And so you can still make money in this, but if I were to start over again, I would follow Peter Thiel's advice. And it's kind of funny because he also says that, as a group, everyone thinks competition is a good thing. And competition can be good. It strives you to be better. But the whole point is that competition is actually just for losers, and they end up competing with each other. So they're not paying attention to the guy over here who's in a market with no competition, and he quickly outbids them because he starts niche down with no competition, and it allows him to collect resources, build up, and then he takes them over. So competition is really a distraction, and that's why it's for losers, right? And sometimes competition can be good, but if you guys want to learn more about this, I'll link this video by Peter Thiel. He gave this big class, he gave this big speech at a Stanford class, and it's a 50-minute video all on why, competition is for losers. He also wrote this book called 0 to 1 that I'm holding up right now, and it's really good. It's all about this. So, if you want to learn more about that and a little bit more about how to spot these low-key niches, you can use that. But really, guys, you want to follow this process, and I know this was a long video and it was really in-depth, and it's not really like a beginner video on how to choose niches, but those of you who actually, really implement this, and if you're still watching the video now, you're going to make a lot of money. You're literally going to monopolize an agency and print money like the feds. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment the next video you want me to make, and I'll see you guys in the next one.